Hey, how are you? My name is Margaret Wong, and I'm here to talk about work permit, social security number, and tax ID numbers.
What are some of the different types of work permits that exist? Mhm.
There are a lot of work permits. Like, for example, you have foreign student, you have OPT. OPT itself is a work permit, but there's a C9, which means that you are green card pending. There's a 485 pending. You have C8. There's asylum of 589 pending. That's good for 2 years. You also have a C10, which means that you have a 42B on non-LPR cancellation pending. But once it's granted and approved, now you get an A10. So that's the difference between A and C. C is something pending, A means it's grant. So for example, you have an asylum grant, you get a work permit under A5. So for example, I'm bringing my husband from overseas to America after my asylum grant, so I do the 730. Once he land, he also get an A5. In the meantime, can he divorce me? Can he still get the green card? That's another issue, but that's an A5 case. You also have DACA work permit, which is a C33. You also have TPS, which is a 14. You also have, actually, TPS is 12. You also have U visa. U visa have three types of work permit. One is a C14, which means that you have that 2 years, because right now, U visa is only granted till November of 2014. For the people who were granted, but they're waiting for the 10,000 annual number, they get the 2 year work permit. So now they can drive, they can get a social. But once they get the 4 year work permit, which is the A20 or the A19, A19 is for beneficiary for the principal alien, and A20 is for the beneficiary, so the husband and the children. So, for example, I have a child from Dominican. I'm trying to bring them over. I have a child from Honduras. I'm bringing them over, and I got my principal alien U visa work permit. Then I can bring them over on parole. That's why you look at the work permit category, you know what kind of work permit.
I'm already working without a work permit. Do I need one?
Absolutely, it's important to have a work permit. In today's world, it started actually more than 10, 15 years ago. There was a time in America, people don't care. There's a shortage of labor. People go get a job and then they work and then they may get cash. They may do 1099, they may do W-2. Nowadays, you really need a work permit. Without the work permit, you could not get a real social and you cannot also get a real driver's license.
What is a social security number and how can I get a social security number?
That's interesting because for people born here in America, once you're born, you have a birth certificate. With a birth certificate, you go apply for a passport if you travel and you get a social automatically. For people like us who are born from overseas, social security number is so important. We always say only the poor people need social because we file tax return, we work, because if you have a driver's license, you have a social, then you get a job. So a lot of people like us who have no papers, we have no social. So social is extremely, extremely important to go get a job, to get your credit when you retire. Social controls our world. You'd be amazed how important a social is, but you don't think about it.
How can I get a social security number?
It's very
No, that's okay.
It's very easy to get a social. You go to any local social security office, you need to bring your work permit and also your passport, and you fill out the form. On there, they'll ask, are you allowed to work? You say yes or no. And then it's just a one-page paperwork. You fill it, you give it to the social worker. Even as of 3 or 4 years ago, they give you a number right away. Now they send it to your house within 30 days.
What is an ITIN number? So a taxpayer ID number or an individual taxpayer identification number. And how do I get one?
You get an ITIN number by doing a W-7. In the immigration world, my world, there are three things that's very important. You have a W-2, W-4, W-7. W-2 is when I work on an H-1B visa, I need to get paid on a W-2. So on the public inspection file, if I say I'm working for $35,000 a year, the W-2 form has to be at least $35,000. You could be more, but can be less. That's a W-2 case. All right, W-2 is very important on an H-1B visa, on certain visa documents. Number 2 is what we call W-4. What's a W-4 is when I incorporate, and nowadays you can pay someone $200 on the web and incorporate you in Delaware and Ohio. Then you use the corporation to fill out a W-4. W-4 would give you a number within 30 days. Now your company, which most of our clients are self-employed because nobody would employ them. They don't speak English, they're laborers. Then you get a tax ID number for the company. That's a W-4. What is a W-7? You use W-7 to get a tax ID number. So for example, I brought some cash in from Mexico. I want to buy a house. And then, of course, you can't buy a house because you couldn't take more than $10,000 without reporting it. Then you get a tax ID number. With the tax ID number, it's in place of a social. You cannot work with it, but you can open bank accounts. You could buy things with it and stuff. But once you get the social, you have to give up your ITIN number.
So the next question is, if I do not have a social security number, do I still have to file taxes?
Gosh, what a good question. Absolutely, you have to file taxes, even if you don't have a number, because in fact, you can always file with an ITIN number with tax. Even if you don't have a number, should still file tax. You can put next to it pending, because the reason to file tax return a lot, for example, for 42B cases, you have to prove fiscal presence in America for 10 years. One of the few ways to prove fiscal presence is my tax return. Another thing is for marriage cases. If your tax returns show you're single, but you file as a married person, that means the marriage is fraud. So that's a marriage case. For immigration work, it's very important to file tax because the higher your income, the lower the fraud. If I already make $50,000 a year, $60,000 a year, why do I need to go get some money from an illegal to marry her to help her get a green card? Because I'm a high salary person. That tax return tells the world who you are. And that's why I'm really surprised. I've been doing immigration work for 45 years. That's one of my pet peeves. I'm amazed that people from different countries think they could just come to America and not file tax return. Because America, who's going to support us if everybody think, oh, I don't have a tax number, I don't need to file. Oh, I don't have a social, I don't need to file. I'm on welfare, then who's going to pay tax? America is great because we only have 200 years of history, because it's nice, because we don't, the IRS, they only have like 2 or 3% of enforcement people because they really trust us. And we don't want to earn Americans' non-trust, because in most countries, they really come to your store. Did you file tax return? They put you in jail. You didn't file tax return. In America, they're based on audit. So we cannot lose American government's trust, because tax return have nothing to do with your status in America. It's IRS. IRS is different from Homeland Security.
Thank you for watching our video here with attorney Margaret Wong. My name is Stephanie Ayala. We hope you enjoyed today's topic. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave any questions or comments down below that we can potentially use for future videos. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For more information about our law firm, check out our website at iamwong.com and feel free to schedule a consultation at 216-566-9908. Thank you.